taking individual videos for the components that I'm going to use in the Dragon table build. We have the MSI MEG Z390 ACE and we have the Intel Core i9-9900K. We're going to unbox them, we're going to place them in a separate build just to test out the processor, just to see how it runs. Of course it runs great, but let's see the temperatures and let's see the cooling on this thing, how it works. And well, we want to see of course the motherboard. Now the motherboard is something completely different. This is top of the line motherboard from MSI alongside with the Z390 Godlike, and we got the ACE right here. This is something really perfect. This and the Godlike motherboard is one of my favorite motherboards, definitely of all time. But you have the HB SLI bridge, you have 2 screws for the M.2 SSDs, DVD for the drivers, you have a nice badge over here from the MSI Gaming, another screw for the M.2 SSDs. You have a small booklet showing you all the graphic cards and the monitors that MSI produces. Special thanks from the MSI. I mean, there's a loads of stuff here in this box. You have, I would say, cable labels, so you could attach all the labels to the cable and write it down, you know, GPU and that kind of stuff, but basically we don't need that. You have a quick installation guide and you have the user's guide for the MEG Z390 ACE. Next to that we have loads of stuff here as well. We have 4 SATA connectors and we have the wireless connection, so you could connect it to your wireless router or whatever you wish, basically. Now let me just put this back. Now I don't have to say that they're making lately incredible design motherboards, and this is definitely, as I said, one of my favorite. The best thing about it, you have the I/O shield already attached to the motherboard, so there isn't a chance that you might forget it. You have 3 M.2 slots right here. You have 3 PCI Express slots. All 3 are specially designed for the heavy load of the graphic card, the weight of it, so you can see they're a bit steel enforced, and that is really nice to see on the PCI slots. Also you have 6 SATA connections. You have 2 3.0 jacks here on the motherboard, and you have 2 3.1 jacks right here, standard connections. And here is the thing, you have 1 24-pin and you have up here 2 8-pin for the power supply for the motherboard and for the processor and for the overclocking. Now talking about the RGB and the thing that probably interests you, one of the highest information that you need. Right at the bottom you have one 12 volts and one 5 volts for the RGB and ARGB, and you have one more up here, 12 volts for the standard RGB connection. So you have the opportunity to connect everything to the motherboard and control it through the MSI Mystic lights. Now let's check some key features. You have the pre-installed I/O shield. As I said, this is really cool thing to have on the motherboard right away, and if you want to take pictures right here like it's a naked motherboard, it really does look cool. Also you have the MSI Mystic Lights Infinity here, mirror, or should I say, I'll call it a mirror because it looks really nice. We're going to connect it and you'll see everything how it looks. You have the Audio Boost HD dedicated audio processor combining ESS audio DAC to optimize the immersive sound experience right here at the bottom on the left side of the motherboard. As I said, it supports 3 M.2 connections for your M.2 SSDs, and you have the M.2 Shield Frozr right here at the bottom, so that is a really cool thing with thermal pads, with everything. That is sick. Now, talking about the connections on the I/O part, you have the clear CMOS, and you have the flashback button. You have USB 2.0 ports, 4 of them. One is dedicated for the BIOS flashback. Then you have the RJ45D LAN port, USB 3.1 generation 1 type A plus C right here underneath the RJ45. You have USB 3.1 generation 2 type A 4 times. You have the Wi-Fi Bluetooth antenna connectors right here, and you have the CS out, line in, RS out, line out, optical out, and the microphone connection right here at the bottom of the I/O parts. Now, talking about this motherboard supports Intel Core processors 8th and 9th generation. This socket is 1151, so that is basically it. The chipset is Z390. But without further ado, let's connect this board and this extreme processor in the build, and well, let's just plug everything in and let's see how it works. Now place this short clip in between where I placed the motherboard in this case, so you could see how it is easy to place everything in a case, and the motherboard and the processor and the M.2 SSD, even though you have an extra screw right already in the this M.2 Shield Frozr for the M.2 SSD, so you have to remove it. It is a bit tricky, but it's very but after all, it's not that complex to do. So basically this is it. It's for the Intel Core 8th and 9th generation processors. You have this endless mirror which you could control with the MSI Mystic lights, and you actually have 4 pins for the RGB, which I read later on instead of just looking at the board. So yeah, this is it guys, the MSI MEG Z390 ACE motherboard, which is right here currently, but it will be used for the double system table, the Dragon table that I'm going to build very soon. This was some sort of an introduction to the MSI MEG Z390 ACE, and see you next time guys. Thank you for watching and bye bye.